Senior Report thanks Edmund Besch of Bristol Burgess Insurance Agency, 65 East Main Street, Westfield, for his generous grant to provide news to seniors. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding for Senior Report is provided in part by a grant from Andrew Goodell, Assemblyman for the 150th District of the New York State Assembly. Senior Report with Reed Powers thanks Westfield's Schultz Chevy for a generous grant to inform seniors of important news. Over 50 years of service to Westfield by Chevrolet, Schultz Chevy across from the school. The physicians of Jamestown Primary Care are happy to sponsor the Senior Report. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Senior Report is broadcast live throughout northern Chautauqua County on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. each week. Call in and share a thought, make a comment, ask a question, or simply wish someone a happy birthday on Chautauqua County's only live call-in senior program. Since 1995, Reed has been bringing viewers hundreds of interesting guests, informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
Thank you, Kent. That's Kent Knappenberger. Many of you may recognize him. He's a resident of Mayville, but he's been in Westfield for a million years teaching. And he's going to be here to talk a little bit about the goings-on in his life, which are fascinating and important, because he did win the very first educational Grammy ever given out to anybody in the world. And it's a national matter. He beat out everybody in the country, which speaks very well for his talent. He's talented in two ways, and we'll talk a little about that as we're going along. As far as the local news is concerned, of course, there's nothing much on the air now except the Russian invasion of the Crimea, or the Ukraine, where they are apparently stationing troops all over the place, trying to take over airports. It's hard to believe in this day and age where we're trying to get a peaceful coexistence going between Russia and the United States and all the other powers in this world, that Putin would embark on such a crazy action. At this point, he's got some warship. He has a major warship parked down in Cuba right now, facing the United States. So Lord knows what's going on in his funny little mind. But at any rate, we're hoping this settles down before it becomes a serious matter. He's got all his troops that are guarding or have invaded the Crimea. He's got them all in unmarked uniforms, so we don't know whether they're Russian or Polish or French. We have our suspicions, I might add. And they tell me I've got to straighten my tie. Well, I don't know about this. I guess that's a little better. Hey, the weather's changing. It's going to be nice and warm today, and then it's going back to sub-zero temperatures, I think. But at any rate, maybe your pipelines will thaw out today. I haven't got any water in my kitchen, but I do have water elsewhere, so things are okay. And last year I did have a freeze in that darn kitchen, and I should know better. I should leave the water trickling, but I'd forgotten, and it froze up solid last night. And it's at this point, I don't think until the spring thaw in March or April, April probably, will I have water in my kitchen. And I might have water in my cellar, who knows. At any rate, we're all in the same boat, and life goes on in Westfield, New York, and the rest of Chautauqua County. All right, I'm going to play for you a very short public service announcement, and then I'm going to, well, they say I better do the senior report first. I have a few items on clubs that I wanted to mention, and then we'll do our public service announcement. The Great Belt seniors, they say they're continuing their regular meetings. They have all kinds of wonderful things. They have gin rummy and backgammon and I don't know, hopscotch. Who knows what they're playing over there? But they have a very a tremendous, vigorous gang of people. And if they meet in the Mason Hall in Fredonia. If anybody's interested, go on over there and just shoulder your way in. They love to see you. The Sheridan seniors at 1 p.m. are on February 14th, which is long gone. Had a great program on, and they talked. Joanne Martin came in and reported on trips coming up. They're going to Salamanca, of course. You know why they're down there, not to see the Indian Nation, but to play at the casino. And that's coming up very shortly, March 31st. And they're also going to a Broadway market on April 9th. So get in there and get involved. You know, there's so many senior groups around. There's no excuse for any senior to be lonely. You have all kinds of folks and a huge separate family, really, a community of wonderful people to get together. I wanted to mention the village of Westfield has some recreation items on. They're having a pancake and maple syrup dinner. And you can get just regular stuff if you want, regular sugar. And they're, I don't know, they're doing a lot of things at the recreation department in Westfield. You want to call them and find out what's going on. But that pancake supper is coming up soon, so check that out. Lakeshore Seniors, next meeting is coming up shortly. They meet every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and Stella Mikulak is the person on the refreshment committee. That's the most important part of the meeting. You understand that? The coffee and the punch and the snacks. On February 23rd, the pickle bell will be held at 1 p.m. in the gymnasium. And don't ask me what the pickle bell is. Oh, they tell me I'm all finished here. Get out of here. They say, get out of here, Reed. You're just mumbling on idly about nothing in particular. There's a lot of senior report news today. I'll give you the public service announcement, and then we're going to talk to John Hamels, Doc Hamels, and he's the one who tells it like it is. Here you go. This is for you.
It all comes down to this.
To be a winning team, you have to work like a winning team.
We have a job to do out here today.
Some people think it's about muscle, but it's really about heart. A lot of heart.
My team depends on me.
And my team is 50,000 strong. Looks like a lot of work's going into this.
Is what it feels like to be part of a team.
A winning team.
The action team.
Are you in? Get in on the action at actionteam.org. Are you in?
Are you in? Okay, John, you're on.
Oh, I'm back. Hey, I missed you guys last week.
I know you did, and we missed you. You didn't even call in.
I couldn't.
We were heartbroken.
I was busy.
Busy. You had a cell phone.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the show, Senior Report. Hey, and good morning, Kent. How you doing? Good to see you. Wow, we have a great show for you guys today. Hey, Reed, what month is it? What month is it?
This is already March already.
And you know what that means. When March comes, you get your Irish on, huh?
That's right, because the 17th is a very special holy day.
Aye, that it is.
and my kids, who lived on Long Island at the time, that was a day off for them.
Well, that's because all the staff were out partying. Miles closed the place. It's like deer hunting up this way. It used to be.
Right. Well, a lot of kids didn't go to school on the 17th up in Copiague where I live.
Well, you know, I'm part Irish and part Sicilian. So on the 17th, everybody would celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and 2 days later we had to celebrate St. Joseph's.
Well, you could have, on St. Patty's Day, instead of corned beef, you could have had spaghetti.
Oh, that was 2 days later. So anyways, March is a great month for lots of celebrating.
Sure
okay. Well, let's get right to it. I got an announcement, an invitation to everyone that's watching today, where it's going to pop up with a magic. There it is. Folks, Ken Knappenberger's been here. He knows all about this. We're going to, I'm Doc, Bill and I are going to be at the 1891 Opera House in Fredonia, and that's on March 14th, and we've got some dancers. I can't even...
Clan Nakara.
Thank you. Clan Nakara. Yeah. Irish dancers, and they're just been there year after year after year, and there's the information. You can go on the website and you can order tickets and we'll get them at the door and so forth. We are really stoked and it should be a lot of fun. So that's coming up March 14th, and we hope.
Yeah, I saw that picture on the front page of the Jamestown Post-Journal.
Well,
today.
I just happen to have that.
Oh, you do? Show
How
people.
about that for a segue? I never know when I'm going to show up. This morning, maybe you've already seen it, but tomorrow, this is something a little new for me. There's something at the Lucille Ball Little Theater, and it's called the Kaleidoscope Variety Show. And they're going to have representatives from all the various organizations that promote arts and music and so forth. And it's like a little sampler, and Bill and I are going to be representing the folk series. And Kent knows that very well. We've been together a couple of years now, Kent, right? Yep. Yeah. So it's a great time. And if you haven't seen that at the Opera House, come out. I mention it every year. It's the folk free-for-all, I guess it's called, and it's a lot of fun, and a bunch of us get together and play some music and have a good time. So anyways, but this is going to be a fun month, lots of things, and we're going to be talking about where we're going to be and stuff like that, and that sort of thing. But you know, Reed, I was thinking today, since we have Kent here, that I maybe kick the topic off. How's that of music?
Well, just shoot.
All right. Well, you know, there's this never-ending battle of what's important in life, whether you should learn math or engineering or science or music, arts, and so forth, sports, and so forth. And, you know, as a superintendent, that was one of the things we always tried to do, is get a good balance so that students, when they left our schools, would be well equipped, you know, not just in one particular area. But for me personally, music has done a lot, and it didn't have to be just music, but in my case it was music, because there's just so many other parts of the arts, dance and artwork and painting and stuff like that. But for me, it started at a ripe age of 10 years old. I don't know if I ever told you this. This is like secrets that I've had all these years.
What's the secret?
10 years old, I auditioned for an all-boys choir at our church, and I flunked my first test because I was just so nervous. I know this seems hard to believe, but I was a very shy kid when I was 10 years old.
No, I don't.
All my friends made it into the choir, and I knew I could sing better than they could. So I went back for a second audition, got accepted, and ended up actually being they actually called us a captain of the choir. And I sang first soprano, and then when I got older, I got down to second soprano, and then eventually down to baritone bass, I think I am now. So anyways, but just thinking about my career in music, you know, which was always an avocation rather than what paid the bills, the things that I learned a lot were discipline, just practice and listening and paying attention and not goofing off. And I know that that's made a big difference.
Practice. How do you get to Carnegie Hall?
I'm working on it. I got to the Opera House. Carnegie Hall is next.
The answer is practice.
Practice. And then going down my list here of cooperation and teamwork, you know, we don't think of that when we think of music. You always think it's just one guy doing it. But if you play in a group or even a duo like I do, there's negotiation, there's discussion, there's cooperation, who's going to do what, and then practice. Timing. You know, we talk about timing as, you know, three-quarter time or whatever, but it's also timing in life. Knowing when to open your mouth, when to shut it, when to jump in, when not to jump in. And so timing is something that kind of fills our lives in knowing what good timing is all about. In my particular case, in the last few years, because I haven't done Irish music all my life or folk music, but my heritage, I have gone back to my roots in Ireland, and and as you all know, I've been to Ireland. I've sat in with an Irish group and learned the music over there. And what a great opportunity music brings for us. Confidence. Like I said, if you would have told me years ago that I'd be sitting in front of a television camera like I am, or getting up in front of thousands of people and singing, I would have said, you are crazy. But that's what music does for you. And finally, appreciation for things like hard work, and appreciating when somebody does something. It doesn't even have to be music necessarily, but something that's really complicated or intricate. When you know that you've tried to do this, or you watch another guitarist or musician or a singer, you go, wow, you really have an appreciation where normally you would have just blown it off. I have appreciation for genius. And ladies and gentlemen, we've got that here today. Kent Knappenberger's here.
Okay, before you go away,
Genius.
I've got a comment on your comments.
Okay, sure.
Well, you've got to help me with this.
All right, I'll help you out.
Okay, you asked me 2 questions. You say, who are you? That's your first question. And then you
Right.
say, what's the secret of your success, okay?
Secret of my success?
No, you asked that question.
Oh,
That's your second question.
That's my second question.
You're going to address me.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to ask you, hey, what's your secret, Reed?
Well, first of all, you got to say, who are you?
Who are you, Reed?
I'm the world's greatest Irish comedian. And
We don't have canned applause here.
what is the secret of your success?
What is the secret of your success,
Okay,
Reed?
you got your lines right now?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so who are you?
I'm the world's greatest Irish comedian.
So Reed, what's
Timing.
this? Timing. So what's the secret of your success?
Timing.
Timing, okay. To the moon.
All right.
Back to you, and we can't wait to hear from Kent.
All right, we're on. Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot.
You're most welcome.
Ken, come on over here, will you, so they can get both of us in the same shot. The closer, the better. I won't touch you.
Sorry.
Ken Knappenberger needs a little introduction because he's been in the news almost ubiquitously lately. I mean, every time you turn around, you get a shot. You get a lot of ink in the papers, and for good reason. And it's for that little thing right there. What is that? You want to fish that over here?
Sure.
There it is.
This is the award that I won in California.
That's the Grammy.
Yep.
You had to go to California to get it.
Yeah, that was okay though. I didn't mind.
You didn't mind. It was pretty nice there, probably. Hey, you're scalping them.
It's wonderful there.
Okay, good shot. Good shot. Thanks. This is a so-called Grammy, and it's the first one ever given out, they tell me, for education, right?
That's right.
And what do you do to... Well, I know you I know you by personally a little bit, and by your reputation in Westfield. They tell me you have 2 great talents. One is you seem to relate well to the children. They called one person said he's a Pied Piper. That kids follow you wherever whatever you do. And secondly, of course, you're a fabulous musician in your own right. Do you ever do any performances or anything?
Yeah, I do. Actually, most recently I played with my family. We have 3 daughters at home that are very musical, and my wife is also a musician. And like Doc said a couple minutes ago, we have done the Folk Free-for-All in Fredonia. And then in December they asked us to be part of a new winter concert series that we did, and the 5 of us did a short program. It was a lot of fun.
What do the kids, what do they play or do?
Well,
They sing, probably.
Yeah, they all sing. My wife sings, and my daughter Lucy plays the Irish low whistle, and I have one of those today I brought along.
Oh, good.
And she plays guitar, and our daughter Esther plays the penny whistle, which is a smaller version of that.
The Irish
and,
penny whistle.
Yep. And our daughter, Esther also sings, and our daughter Amanda plays the flute.
And what's your wife do?
She sings.
She sings. What's her name?
Nanette.
Nanette, okay. We have a tremendous amount of publicity over this because this was a national award, right?
Yes.
No one else in the, you had to compete against 100 million teachers, I guess.
Something like that.
Yeah, a lot of teachers. And what do you figure is your success? What is the basis for your winning?
Well, if I were to think about that myself, as far as why they picked me,
Yeah.
well, I can never really be 100% sure. But if I had to guess, our school is not that big. Westfield's not a huge school, but I think we've been good, not just in what we do at music, but what we do everywhere, in kind of saying, so we're a rural school, what can a rural school do in providing a great education for a kid? And one of the things that we do is I like to think we attend to the needs of the whole child, and we also attend to different kids' learning needs across the board. Mm-hmm. And in terms of what our music program does to do that, we have a choir and we have a band that are kind of traditional as far as how music is taught in the school, but we also have a thing called the general music class, where kids have experiences in performing, singing, songwriting, and those classes are just open to anybody really who wants to take them. I would say, generally speaking, in a given year, we'd have about 25% of our students would be taking those in high school, and about 100%, I would say, in the rest of the school. And that's where we put kids together in situations that are musical, of course, where you really have to interact with a broad group of kids. They're not auditioned to be in these classes. Anybody who wants to take them can sign up.
Walk in and sit down, huh?
Yeah, and the percentage of kids that are involved, what we accomplish in class, their musical skills that they have, those are all pretty unique. And it's the big thing is it's not just centered around being in a performing ensemble. So it's not entirely about just being in the choir. There is a whole bunch of other musical learning that we do, and we don't just get attention from the Grammys for that. I've gotten attention from the New York State School Music Association, the National Association for Music Education.
You won other awards.
The kids have. Yeah, the kids have gotten quite a bit of recognition.
So you would say that the Westfield School, the school board and the district, the supervisor and everything, have a lot to do with it because they emphasize the arts.
Well, I wouldn't say just that they emphasize the arts, but they really emphasize kids. And no matter who my administrator has been for the last 25 years, because this is my 25th year that I've been there.
You run through a few of them.
Yeah, just a couple. But won't go into that. But over that time, the kids have really been a priority. And one of my things that I believe is that if we study the arts, we're not just doing it for the sake of just what the arts teach us or just how they interact with other subject areas, but really what does this do for the human being that's studying it? And that's where I think we've seen a lot of results in terms of kids' school experience and even into their adult lives, which is really the bottom line. And because of that, what we do there in terms of my subject area, but also many others, is really very kid-centered. And we have kids that are extremely successful at adults, and pretty much whatever they would like to learn or whatever they would like to do, I see our graduates doing that. I see our young people leaving our school and going off to lives like that.
Yeah, well, I'm an example of that. I'm a graduate of Westfield Academy and Central School, and my main goals in life I've fulfilled, and that is to be kind of laid back and sit in front of the camera and pretend I'm somebody important and make no money. I've been very successful at this. Fortunately, I was married to a beautiful woman and married to a lovely woman, and I have 3 beautiful children. And Westfield is absolutely the little Garden of Eden in Chautauqua County, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that makes 2 of us who think that at least. So.
And few people realize that Westfield was part of the Portage Road, which is very important once upon a time because they could ship anything down the lakes, the Great Lakes, to Westfield, and then they could portage it over the hill with mules or whatever they wanted to do. They couldn't go upstream. And they could take their stuff down Chautauqua Lake to the end of it, and then down through the gates and down through the Ohio River into the Mississippi, and they'd be all anywhere they wanted to go, really, in the country.
Yeah.
And this was a very important place, Westfield, at the time. As a matter of fact, folks, I bet you don't know, unless you're a diver, there is about a 1/5 of a mile pier that goes out from Barcelona.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's buried because it's underwater and it's all falling apart, but you can follow the rocks. And it was quite a place. They called it the Crossroads. Back then, Westfield was named Crossroads. And that's because that's where the continental stuff crossed over into the rest of the country. And it's still a beautiful place to live. As a matter of fact, the French were, in their anthologies, when they were going through there, they said, this is the Garden of Eden. It's beautiful here.
Yeah.
They loved it. You are fortunate in that you live in the area. Chautauqua County is gorgeous. You have been nurtured. You lived here since you were a little kid, right?
Since I was 9.
9 years old. And do you plan to be buried here? Or are you going to go are you going to move to Florida?
I was just thinking about that. No, I have no idea. Thanks. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah, you can't tell right yet. I tell you, we're fortunate. And your accomplishments in the world of music are just outstanding. Now, you said you would play a little piece for us. Would you do that?
Sure, be happy to.
Okay, great. Watch your
will.
your little mic there.
This is a Celtic harp that I brought with me. So this
Celtic
is
harp. What's the difference between that and any other harp?
I can explain that. If you look at the harps that are in like an orchestra or something, they would be probably around 6 foot tall, and they have a set of pedals that connect to rods that run up through the pillar in the harp, and they're quite complicated. Anyway, the harps
heavy. They're heavy.
Yeah, they weigh about 80 pounds. This kind of harp is how harps began. This is a very ancient instrument. It goes back thousands of years. And this instrument, or I call it a Celtic harp, it's kind of a contemporary design. It was made by a guy in his garage in West Virginia, and I bought it so I could have an instrument I could take out and play. So when I talk about performing with my wife and my daughters, this is generally the instrument that I use. So the song I've got to play, sort of timely, Happy March, is Irish, and it's called Shula Rún, and it's kind of a love song.
Okay, what Shula Rún mean?
I think the chickens are laying eggs, honey, go gather me a dozen.
I'm sure it is. Ken Knappenberger playing a little tune for us on his harp, and this is the Celtic harp. Well, thank you very much, Kent.
You're welcome.
Beautiful piece. It shows that art is important. We have, our schools are criticized in many cases because they teach you to make a living. They're teaching you to make a living instead of giving you real learning. But that's where the art comes in. The art is the opposite pole. It's teaching you to improve your life. It's giving you something special that's different from learning. You probably aren't going to make money out of it. It's not teaching you to mechanically do something, although it could teach you to play the harp, I guess. But
Go to Westfield.
Yeah, and do they teach harp in Westfield?
We do. We have 3 Celtic harps that are much smaller than this. They're about this high. But then we recently had a donor, since they saw the publicity of the Grammy Award on TV, saw that we taught Celtic harp there. So this individual from Lockport, New York, called me up and said, or sent me an email rather, and said, hey, I have a Celtic harp that I don't use. Do you think the school could use it? And it is a beautiful instrument. The kids are thrilled to have it. and it's very valuable, and we're going to take good care of it and put it to good use.
It's kind of a bare bones harp. It doesn't, as you say, have all this.
Well, this one is made by the Salvi Harp Company in Italy, the one that we were donated, and it's a little more than a bare bones harp. It's a nice instrument. We can do quite a bit with it. But in terms of what you were saying about music in the schools and why we teach what we do, I think, and I'm speaking about the arts in general, it's something that really exists in every culture on planet Earth, and I think it's because of the arts that we end up kind of defining ourselves.
Yeah.
And we define not just who we are as cultures, but we define ourselves as individuals. I think life's tough, and we expect kids to leave without what I'm going to call a very natural tool that's part of living. And this has kind of led to a lot of how we decide what we teach in terms of music in our school. And it's not really about, so you can go out and get a living as a professional musician. Well, no, but it is about how that relates to you being a human being. And I would say that's true in music and visual arts, and even in how we, why do we read literature? Is that so we can become, versed in Shakespeare? Well, yes and no. I mean, it's a combination. Why do we listen to Beethoven or sing Mozart? Because somehow through doing those things, we kind of figure out who we are and where we fit in the world. That's my sermon on that.
Well, that's a good grip. You did mention Beethoven and some of the greats, the giants of classical music. What do you think of pop music?
Well, I think it's like any music that's been written brand new for the last however many years people have been doing that there's some that we hear today and there's not a lot of information in it, so you might not want to listen to it again in 10 years except for nostalgia purpose. And there's other music that's being written that's even, that we would call pop, that has a lot to it, and maybe several years down the road we'll still be listening to it and thinking, wow, there's a lot to this. It's kind of like how music's always been, I believe.
Yeah, rap is included in that, of course, and rap music tends to send a message, although there's an old saying in the world of the arts, if you have a message to send, use Western Union.
All right.
Don't use your art. And when we speak of art, we speak of the dance, we speak of painting, sculpture, of course music, and anything involved in that that doesn't make money. We got a couple of phone calls. You want to take a phone call?
Sure. I'm sitting down.
We're on. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Enjoying the show immensely. Well done. I have a question, if I may, for your guest.
Sure.
Mr. Knappenberger, you haven't shared the excitement of being with the musical greats in California. Could you share, especially Ringo Starr and all those others?
Well, that was a really exciting thing. And the way the Grammys are given out, there are actually three events. There is the event we see on TV, which is called the telecast. And then before the telecast, they give out about 55 other Grammys in what they call the pre-telecast, which is held literally across the street in Los Angeles at the Nokia Center. And then the day before, on Saturday, at the Wilshire Theater, they have what's called the Special Merit Ceremony. So the Grammy that I got was actually given out there. And at that ceremony, there were people receiving Lifetime Achievement Awards and Grammys for like technical production, for example. And at that event, the Beatles were receiving a Lifetime Achievement Grammy. So Ringo Starr was there, and Yoko Ono and Olivia Harrison were there. And boy, was that exciting.
I bet that was fun.
Yeah, it was.
Did you have a chance to actually talk to them?
I did. And I got it, the award that I got was given out first. And that day I was allowed to make a speech, or asked to make a speech, however you want to put it. And it was 3 or 4 minutes long, so, it's kind of crazy to think I'm going to be addressing an audience with Ringo Starr in it and a whole host of other very talented musicians, members of the Recording Academy, so it was a little intimidating to do that. Nonetheless, I got up and did it, and it's funny because, I used to teach middle school especially. Well, I was teaching middle school, I should say. I'd look out in a class and there'd be the kid who's looking at you like this, and then there's the kid who's like, tuned out. So I'm looking at both those kind of kids all the time. Trying to get the kid who's not engaged to be engaged, and also enjoying the fact that I got other kids who are already into what's going on. So I look out in the theater, and I'd be speaking, to essentially a darkened theater because the lights were in my face. But I'd look down in the front row, there was Ringo Starr, and I'd be talking, and I'd look at Ringo, and I'd be talking, and then I'd look at Ringo again because he kept looking up. So he was very attentive. But that was kind of cool, and I thought, good grief, I'm addressing Ringo Starr, the importance of music in our lives. But he was very nice about it afterwards, and there was a group picture of everybody that received the Grammy that day, and he came up and told me what he thought, which were nice words. And a photographer who had been with us all week at different events said, "Hey, can I get you guys together for a picture?" And I thought, "Oh boy, this is really cool." So he took a picture of Ringo and I, and it's kind of nice to have that. And there were a lot of people that I got to meet, but the ones who really stand out in my mind are a crazy mix of people, and he's one of them. Another one would be the composer Paul Williams, and if you don't know who he is, he wrote the theme for The Love Boat and The Rainbow Connection, and We've Only Just Begun, to name a few. And he had some really neat things to say about why he thought music was important to our kids and his support of what the Grammy Foundation tries to do. Another person was his producer named Jimmy Jam, and he's the producer of Janet Jackson, among others. But probably my favorite conversation with a person in the industry that really wants to support the mission of the Grammy Foundation was with him. That was really cool.
Okay, so that was the experience.
Oh yeah.
Caller?
Did you get their autograph? Did you get Ringo's autograph?
No, I didn't. I don't want to sound like I'm a shy person, but I just didn't have it in me to say, "Hey, could I have your autograph?" Plus, it was pretty crazy right at that moment because there were all kinds of photographers around and people were getting their pictures taken. So I was just glad I got a picture with him, and he was kind enough to share some words with me.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Caller, if you send in a large postpaid box and self-addressed box, we'll send you a harp.
How nice.
A little harp.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't know. Why is it that whenever the school board is trying to cut the budget, which they're constantly doing these days, needless to say, because they're cutting school funding all over the place, and it's breaking the backs of the local taxpayer to have to pay so much money, why is it that the first thing they do is cut the arts?
Well, right now there's a big, educational reform is something that's constantly going on, and it should constantly be going on because we learn more every day about how the brain works and how adolescents learn, and we should really be pretty smart about that by now. But as we learn that, as we continue in educational reform, there's a big emphasis on testing right now, and music is not really part of an area that's being directly tested, and that's probably okay, but the thing that's not okay is we're very focused on what the test number is, and because of that, a lot of the funds, and education's under the gun right now, are kind of get funneled to areas that are going to impact test results. However, it ends up being a question of, is there a way that we can still do what we do and maybe even do it better if we change how we deliver? And I don't mean that in the sense of just how we deliver music education, but I mean that in the sense of how we deliver any education. I mean, we have all this technology now. We're supposedly know all this stuff about how kids learn. There are a lot of resources available to us. So if funds are in tough shape, which I don't know when that's going to end, and I wish I could say it would end tomorrow, it's causing us to be creative in how we solve some problems. Unfortunately, how some districts solve that problem is to say, well, let's get rid of the arts.
Things we don't need.
Yeah.
I like the arts.
Yeah, I'm very happy that I work in a school that isn't like that. But we try to, and not just music, but also visual art. And anytime arts are really dealt with in our school, I think we have a strong case for how we involve that in the lives, the total education of the kid, and also their total experience as a human being in our school.
Testing. How do they test for arts? You have a certain amount of background and experience and take a certain amount of joy in music, painting, sculpture, whatever it might be. How do they test this?
Well, as a teacher, I have to assess kids all the time. And sometimes it's in very easy areas, like if I'm teaching music theory, there are things that we have covered that are, as real skills and knowledge, or even in terms of if we play an instrument. So I really try to stay away from, I'm going to give a kid, actually I stay away completely from, I'm going to give a kid a random grade, let's say, on attitude.
Yeah, how do you grade it even? That's another tough one.
Well, for example, like in choir, I have over 100 kids I have to see at once. So they get graded on 5 different things, all of which, to be perfectly honest, are visual. And one of them is how do they produce vowels when they sing? And that has a lot to do with how your mouth is shaped. So I can see that from when I'm conducting, and I can pick 5 kids at rehearsal and say, okay, I'm focusing on this row today. I'm going to see how they do with their posture, which affects breathing. I mean, there really are some things. I was asked by a colleague of mine, innocently enough, do you even have a curriculum in music? And yeah, we do. The thing is, it's just not widely known to people how we would do that. But there's all kinds of criteria we use when we evaluate kids. So that's kind of how things work in my world. But that's true in any subject area.
It's I took education, a lot of education courses when I was in college, and I'm absolutely convinced today that they grade you just on the expression on your face. If you look real enthusiastic, you get an A. If you look like you're going to puke, you get a D. That's about all they have. That's partly in jest, I might add. Famous Emmy winners. Who else that we would recognize has won an Emmy? Nobody's won that Emmy, but you.
Well, this year, at the pre-telecast, Maria Schneider, who's a person who spends time in our area every summer as a composer. Oh. And that name might be familiar to people, but she won a Grammy Award for one of her compositions. Actually, I think she was.
We got your
nominated
picture of
for two.
Ringo Starr. Do you want to?
Go ahead.
Okay, he says good. There you go.
There he is. I don't know how tall Ringo is, but he's a nice guy. So
that was sweet of him.
Yeah, it was awesome.
We interrupted you.
That's all right. See, the ones that stand out in my mind might not be as well known to everybody. There's a classical a cappella group from Massachusetts called Roomful of Teeth that got a Grammy. I thought was great. But I mean, they're the ones that are on TV. At the ceremony I was at, the Isley Brothers, who originally recorded the song Twist and Shout, which ironically was the same ceremony where the Beatles got their award, and of course they both recorded that song. But they got their Grammy that day. A group called Kraftwerk, and I remember as a kid at Mayville Lakeside Park hearing this song called The Autobahn that was recorded by Kraftwerk at that time. They got a Grammy that day. That was in 1975 or something.
So an awful lot of big people who are big heat in the world of...
well, it's a big variety, too. I mean, people who are in sound production or designing technology that affects the recording industry. And now, a music educator, for which I'm very grateful.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that they accepted the fact that the educator is very, very important, even though he might not be a great musician. You don't necessarily have to be a great artist to be an educator.
And this came from the New York chapter of the Recording Academy, which is kind of cool, because the first, because I'm from New York, and they're the ones who said, hey, we should really be doing this.
Yeah.
And it's nice to think that private industry of any kind can support education of any kind. It just so happens the private industry for music, a big spokesperson is the Recording Academy and the Grammy Foundation. So.
And they're the ones who upped it, huh?
Well, they are, and it's nice, I think, it's nice that an organization like that kind of has my back in a way. And I also really believe that this is an encouragement to other, it's not about me, it's about all kinds of music teachers out there. And the fact that, the 32,000 people got nominated, that means that there are 32,000 music teachers in the United States that somebody thinks is exceptional. And that's kind of amazing and wonderful to me. I mean, I'm proud to be part of that.
Sure. And the first one, they never can take that away.
No, that's
the first.
I haven't quite wrapped my brain around that yet.
Yeah, I know. It must be fabulous. I'll bet you'll watch next year, too, to see who gets it.
I hope I can. I'd love to.
Do they give it to the same person more than once?
There's never been that discussion. I certainly am not going to proceed with any part of the process myself.
For any category.
Oh yeah, I met a recording engineer when I was at an event at Capitol Records that had won like 26 Grammys or something.
No kidding.
Yeah, his house must just have a room for them. He must be a pretty hot recording engineer too.
Yeah, he must be good at his business,
yeah.
whatever it might be. What's the school say to you about this?
It's really been exciting to be at school. First off, they've been very supportive, and kids are very excited. And I work with some absolutely exceptional colleagues. And there's a lot of ways that people could react to this. And the way that has been communicated to me is, support. We're glad that our school gets to be, recognized, because it's really, I could have talked to an empty room about my great ideas about, teaching music. It wouldn't matter. But the fact is, I work with great kids in a town that I'm very proud to be part of, and I have great colleagues, and I really feel all that right now.
Yeah.
It's an awesome, Westfield School is an awesome place.
And you've extended your family too. You have adopted 8 children, right?
We have.
Over the years, which is quite a gift, really, when a child needs a place to live. to reach out and give them your heart, which is your home, it must be very satisfying.
It is. And we also have a biological daughter, so we have 9 total. But they're 3 at home, and they're awesome. Our daughter just got accepted to 2 different colleges. She's getting ready to head off next year, and we're very excited for her. And you know, when you're talking about family, I got to mention too, my brother just won a Master Teacher Award for teaching science at our school. And he's 2 years younger than me, and we've worked together for a number of years. And
Oh, he's in Westfield too.
yeah.
What's his name?
His name's Lon, and he won got a citation from the governor, and it's a pretty cool thing because he does really crazy, wonderful stuff in science.
Well, it's I must say, there's a gene there. Must be.
I
something,
you can blame my parents or thank them, one or the other.
Well, did Nanette go out with you?
Yeah, she did, and also our 3 daughters that are still at home.
Oh,
and they'll never forget that. We walked 3 red carpets, and that's kind of an experience to be in front of a bunch of cameras, you know, going off in your face. But
did they meet Ringo?
Yeah, actually, Esther, our 8-year-old, had just gotten through the red carpet, and we were standing there at the end, kind of thinking, okay, what do we do now? And Ringo walked through and patted her on her head and said, "Hey, kiddo." I said, "Esther, never wash your hair again." You know, but that was kind of neat. And they met some other people too. They met Paul Williams. Esther knows Paul Williams is the guy who wrote Kermit the Frog's song for the Muppet movie.
Oh, no kidding.
So she had fallen asleep during the concert when we heard him. And when she woke up, then my wife said, "Oh, Esther, we're sad you didn't get to meet the guy who wrote Kermit's song." And Esther was distressed about this. But then when we were at the Staples Arena the day of the telecast, who's eating his snack? You know, they had lunch and snacks available for people before the telecast. Who's standing next to us but Paul Williams? So not only did she get to see him, she got to meet him, and he called her by name. So that was kind of cool for her.
That's great. It's experiences like this are just incomprehensible. You don't know how they're going to affect children, really.
No, and we really wanted our girls to be there, and hopefully they'll remember this for a long, long time. And they were just awesome to have in California with us.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have wanted them anywhere else.
Yeah. So if you were to use your celebrity and your knowledge, what would you do to adjust or change the music programs in the general school scenario? Not Westfield, but generally.
All right, well, it just sound like I got a couple of
lot
agendas.
to say.
Well, one is sometimes I hear about music programs where kids get, like Doc saying, he had to audition for this choir when he was a little boy. Well, you know what? We're all works in progress in terms of being kids, or kids growing up. And what if the math teacher said to you when you were 9, "You know what? We had you do some math problems. You didn't really do that great, so I don't think math's for you." Like, what the heck? That makes me crazy when I hear people give similar stories about music. Well, my teacher told me to stand in the back row and just move my mouth, not to sing. And if we're going to be serious about teaching, we need to teach everybody. Now, that might mean that the concerts that we do aren't going to be as wonderful, but it's not about a wonderful concert. It's about what kids are learning. And that would be my suggestion to anybody. And I do have another platform, and it's this, that rural schools can do a great job. And I think sometimes we think, oh, if we were just like suburbia, or if we just had this resource or that. But the best resource we have is the fact that we are small communities with a sense of community that really invest in our kids. Yeah, and I'm so proud that that's where I work. I'll tell that to anybody.
Westfield, as you say, is a small rural community. I think we're just around 5,000 in the whole township of Westfield, which is there's only one village in the town of Westfield, and that's the village of Westfield.
Yeah,
which is interesting. So you have 2 different governments operating the same village. But at any rate, my grandfather says there are actually only 4,992 residents. We lost 8 boys in the Civil War and never made them up.
Oh, wow.
There's an old saying that for every pregnant woman, a male leaves town. So we have
Hadn't heard that.
We have a static population.
Okay.
That's a joke, friends, please. So at any rate, you're basically ensconced in the celebration, the Hall of Fame, really, for teachers. Where do you keep that thing now? Do you keep it under your pillow? Or?
Yeah. Well, it's been getting a few miles on it lately, and I have yet to bring it to school. 'Cause I really like elementary teachers or elementary kids. Well, teachers can look at it too, but I need to contact the teachers so if their kids want to see it, because I think it'd be kind of cool to say, wow, I got to put my hands on a Grammy. When I take it home, I'll clean it up again. But it lives in our dining room, in our china closet sometimes, but I just won't want it to be anywhere I'm going to spill something on it or blow my nose and have something hit it, whatever.
You're not going to defile it in any way, right?
No, I'm going to try not to. So.
Yeah, well, it is. It's actually not only important in its meaning, but it's a beautiful, a very beautiful little piece that they gave.
Well, and I hate to philosophize too much here, but when I found out that they had changed the design, I thought, oh, I mean, I'm not going to get one of those gramophones. And then the designer said, yeah, but you got to realize that there's only one of these. And I thought it was neat too that the way they designed it is the Grammy metal is the negative space around the gramophone. I thought, isn't that where the teacher is? We're kind of hovering around the outside while this thing is, and that was the whole point of the Grammy Foundation doing this. We have all these artists who know something and learn something, became something because of some adult, sometimes a teacher, that had an impact in their lives. So I thought, well, that's pretty cool. I'm about that now. So.
Yeah, well, you're in a very small, select crowd now. I hope you do have a whole shelf of them someday.
I'll have to get writing some music and join a band or something. I'll start writing some
when
rap.
you're a 5,000 community, you're not going to compete too well against the big cities where there are millions. So it's almost a miracle, really.
Well, there are things that our school has been recognized, like I said, in New York State and even in the Northeast. We have a string band that plays traditional music, some of it from the 1800s, that is active in our local historical society. But they got asked to perform as the only ensemble from a public school in New York State at the Northeastern United States Music Conference last year in Hartford, Connecticut. And that was a crazy thing, because that means every suburban school, every good choir, every good band, every good orchestra, they picked us. And kids are really proud about that. And really, I say us, I mean like a lot of kids here. There were like 40 kids that went to that. And there are things that have happened in Westfield that I'm very proud to be part of. But they are kind of miraculous, and I don't know how this happened. I had to answer questions about how I'd impacted the field of music education, and that was kind of crazy to think about. But there are some people that are active in a global sense of music ed that know what we do here in town and have kind of gotten the word out about what happens. So we kind of had some stories and background to share when it came to that.
Have you started a book? You going to write a book?
No one would believe it if I did. So.
Well, you didn't have to tell any of your inside secrets.
You like the truth? I don't know.
You don't have to tell the truth, right? Who does when they write a book anyway?
That's what I hear.
Ken Knappenberger, who is a Grammy winner, has won the very first education Grammy. Is it music education or just education?
It is called the Grammy Music Educator Award.
Okay, so it's music education. And we're very proud of him in Westfield. I want to say that Westfield School District, having gone through it from first grade on, is outstanding. I'm very impressed with the Westfield education, all in all. And having been there all the way through, it prepared me very well for life and for college.
I'm glad to hear it. I think there's a long tradition of that there.
Yeah. Well, my father graduated from there. My grandfather was in the area, so I have a long history of Westfield Academy and Central School. All my kids at one point or the other were in Westfield, and I'll tell you something, my grandchildren will probably go there.
All right, bring them on.
Bring them on. You'll still be there, I'm sure.
I hope I have a few good years left in me. We'll see.
Well, you teach, what range do you teach now?
I teach 6th grade through 12th grade.
Okay.
And, 6th grade through 12th grade, a lot of singers, and then I do the high school general music classes that I talked about.
Yeah, I did a little teaching and wound up in the middle school, which is a junior high situation.
It was a lot of fun.
I'm absolutely, a lot of fun. I'm convinced that the children in that age of the area are temporarily insane.
Well, you could call it that. Sometimes as a teacher I feel sort of temporarily insane.
Well, that's another point. If you stay in the middle school for long enough, you get a little strange and odd, and you become a little temporarily insane too, to sort of fit in. And if you don't, you get out. And so I got out, and a number of my friends told me it wasn't quick enough, though.
Well, I remember when I thought a lot of middle school, I'd get home and think, boy, I probably should just find some adults I should talk to now, because I'm having a hard time.
Well, the middle school is a unique situation, I must say, and I just got to say, I certainly feel there's nothing like the people that do it year after year after year, because I think there's more stress in dealing with this age level than there is in dealing with third graders, you know?
Well, I couldn't speak to that exactly, but I can say that I know the kids are deciding a lot of things about themselves when they're in middle school, and a lot goes on there that maybe we don't even see.
Okay. You make costumes, right?
Me?
Somebody told me you make the costumes for the kids.
Nope.
No? Okay. That's
No way.
Yeah, who makes them?
We have a person, actually, Karen Cockrum, who does costumes for our shows.
Oh, yeah? Uh-huh. And that's a pretty expensive operation, too, the costumes.
Well, we make use of the Salvation Army and what people have in their
Terrific.
closets sometimes, and try to do that on a very tight budget.
I bet you do.
Oh, you know what? I bet I know what this is talking about. We have a sheep farm.
You have a what?
We have a sheep farm, and when our
What do you mean, a sheep farm?
well, you know, my other life is I run a farm, so I have
So you're a shepherd.
of sorts, and I have also some dairy cows, and we have some horses. So I bet this, as far as costumes are concerned, when our string band plays, we have a whole closets full of sweaters that are made out of our sheep's wool, like this one I'm wearing.
Oh.
So kids wear those. So that probably is what person is
Where's
alluding
the
to
sheep
that.
farm?
It's on Fish Road. I actually live in the town of Portland, but we have a Westfield address.
How many sheep do you have?
When I left the house, or not the house, when I left the barn this morning, there were 10. But this is lambing season, so
you
things
never
can
know.
change awful quickly. So
Not Christmas, like they have in the Bible.
no, February.
The little lambs.
Well, we had nice weather 2 weeks ago, but the sheep don't really recognize that. If it's going to be 0 degrees, I think they think, hey, let's have some lambs today.
No kidding. And do you eat them?
Yes, we do,
Some of them.
and we sell wool. You know, we have tons of wool at our house.
Who shears them?
I do.
Do you? Mm-hmm. Well, I see it's a wrestling match to shear sheep.
Well, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it, and hopefully I'm doing it the right way and that I win in the end.
Well, I think that's fantastic. What else do you raise besides sheep?
We have some dairy cows. My other life before I decided to be a music teacher was I wanted to be a dairy farmer. I still have family that runs dairy farms. And we have one milk cow, and we have her calf, and we usually have a couple steers.
Well, how about that? That's terrific.
Keeps me sane.
Well, yeah, you're kind of a many-faceted individual. Not what we call a Renaissance man, but you certainly do incorporate a lot of the good things in life into your life.
Well,
which is fantastic.
life's a pretty fun thing, and
Yeah.
I have to entertain myself somehow sometimes. So sometimes it's cows, sometimes it's sheep, sometimes it's.
Well,
I love my job.
I'm sure that raising sheep is very entertaining.
It's a lot. Our girls love to be out there right now because
Do
we
they?
have these little lambs, and
Oh, yeah.
they're very cuddly. And
They learn the life and death and birth cycle that way,
do
too.
they ever? It's been really neat for them to be connected to that.
Well, it's been wonderful chatting with you, Ken.
Nice chatting with you.
But I'm getting this message that just came in. We're out of here.
All right.
They're throwing us out. So I want to thank you for joining us. Will you come back again?
It'd be my pleasure.
When you win the next year.
I'll be sure to let you know.
Well, it's just an incredible thing, and I want to thank you for giving us a little of your time and insight into your thoughts about education and music. And
You're very welcome.
if you will come back, I'd appreciate it very much. We'll have a lot of fun.
It's a deal.
And we can talk more about the sheep, I think. And
Want me to bring one of them in? I could.
you could, yeah. We've had more Stranger Things here before.
All right.
We had a whole menagerie of dogs one time.
Oh, gosh. Well, sheep would be different.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us. And I want to say to everybody out there, have a wonderful week next week. And may all that is proud and true and noble abide with you. I'm Reed Powers.